Welcome to Hindsight The Podcast, where bold stories and honest reflections meet real growth. I'm Lee Jones, your host, and every week I sit down with incredible people who turn life's turning points into powerful transformations. And if you're navigating change or chasing purpose, then you're in the right place. All right, before we get, do you have any questions for me? I do have a question for you. How do I say your last name?
Schreurs. It's a difficult one.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to get that one.
It's a tough one. You're not the first host and not the last host who will have difficulties.
All right, so we'll just, this part will be in the podcast. So we already have established, the name. So when I go through it, I'm a fumble through it anyway when I actually say it. But say it one more time. Sure?
Schreurs.
Shush.
Yes.
I'm not going to get that. All right, but before we get going, I just want to ask you one question. Let's figure out one real quick.
Yeah.
All right, I like this one the best because this is more in line with the purpose of the podcast. So what are you doing today that the future you will thank you for?
So I think it's to continue investing in continuous education, right? Continuously learning. I'm at the forefront of technology. I absolutely enjoy that. I'm a very curious person.
Mm-hmm.
And every day I invest 15 minutes, 30 minutes, sometimes an hour, just learning, educating myself. And it could be about artificial intelligence. I think it's very important. It's going to be big in the future. It's already big today, but it's going to be much bigger than what it is today.
Mm-hmm.
But not only that, also entrepreneurship, leadership, any kind of topic I'm interested in. Yeah.
I like it. I my whole purpose, I won't say that's my purpose, but a goal each day is to learn something new. And, I kind of go about it a little haphazardly. I think maybe, just hearing you answer that question, maybe I need to go at it a little more a targeted approach. Because like for right now, I would take this as an opportunity. When you and I talk, Damien, I will get some insights from you on Max or on entrepreneurship or whatever it is that I'm like, that's insightful. I didn't know that, and I take that as I've learned something new today. But then after I've learned that thing, I believe I should probably go and invest some time and build on that knowledge if it's something that's going in my life's trajectory. So I appreciate your answer.
Yeah, and talking about that, actually, for me, there's a difference between knowledge acquisition and learning, right? So when I say that I learn, I do a lot of knowledge acquisition, but I also take the time to implement, right? To do something. It's when you implement something that you've discovered or learned, or discovered more than that, that you actually start learning. Yeah.
All right. I appreciate you indulging me. Great answer right off the bat. So you ready to get to it?
Yes.
All right.
When you look back in hindsight, everything is 2020. In hindsight, we make mistakes, we're learning from it. In hindsight, be yesterday and your tomorrow. In hindsight, is so much clearer now.
Imagine working a steady 9-to-5 job while knowing deep down that one day you'd run your own business. And for my guest, Damien S., that wasn't just a dream. It was a plan. Through years of preparation, self-education, and strategic risk-taking, he transitioned from a corporate research and development engineer to running his own IT training and consulting business, EasyTech. Today, he's not only a solopreneur, but also the host of the, Macpreneur podcast, where he shares strategies to help fellow business owners maximize efficiency with Apple technology. I can use some help with that. But welcome to Hindsight The Podcast. I'm your host, Lee Jones. And how's everything going with you today?
Very well. Thank you for having me, Lee. It's a pleasure to be on your show.
I appreciate that as well. Hey, and we're going to talk about how you built your business while still working full time, the mindset shifts required for solopreneurship, and the tech strategies that he swears by to reclaim time and streamline operations. So let's get to it. What first planted the seed that you one day would run your own business?
That was actually at university. When I was at university, the last
Yeah.
year, we had an entrepreneurship class, and I remember exactly where I was sitting, in which part of the amphitheater I was when I had this kind of light bulb moment or aha moment,
Mm,
and that one day I would have my own company. So from my upbringing, I had two different kinds of parents. My father was an employee, and my mother
mhm,
was actually independent. Right, she was self-employed, and she always had her small business. And yeah, I don't know. When you when you are going through like university, in my case, was 5 years of uh, physicist engineering, physics engineering. I could
yeah.
not imagine throw everything out of the window very quickly. But yeah, that planted the seed of me one day having my own business. And actually, it didn't take long when I was
Mhm,
working for this Fortune 500 American company. Actually, they had an R&D center in Luxembourg where I'm located.
mhm.
I think it was 1.5 years after starting being employed there that I asked them if I could do a master in management
Oh, wow.
and learn actually
Uh-huh.
what it means to have a company. I had two options. I could have asked them to sponsor me, right, to pay for the tuition, but then there were some strings attached and some stuff like
Yeah.
that. And I decided no, that I would pay myself this tuition. It was 2 years, 3 evenings, no, 2 evening, 2 times evening classes and the Saturday morning. And I was
Mm.
driving the equivalent of 200 miles
Oh,
from
daily?
yeah. When I was going to that master in management, yes, 200
Yeah.
miles back and forth,
Okay.
3 times per week.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Hey, that's knowing what you want and going for it. You
Mhm,
know, and that's an important lesson because there are things that we all want to do, and then we look at the obstacles and we stop at the obstacles. Like 100 miles one way is an
mhm,
obstacle.
mhm,
Multiple times a week is expands on that obstacle. But understanding the end state, the end goal of where it was you were trying to get to,
mhm.
you knew that you had to get around that obstacle, if it was only mentally, So that's awesome. So so was it the teacher? Okay, so you said in class, you remember where you were sitting, you
Mhm.
got the light bulb moment. It was an entrepreneur class. What was the light bulb? What went off in that class that you knew it was you? Did you look back at your mom and saw some positive qualities from her? Some things you didn't like from your dad being an employee and what you were experiencing at the like what was it?
Yeah, I think it was mainly maybe a realization about myself, actually.
Okay.
The short story is when I was 18, my grandfather, who is, by the way, my hero, he is very much towards traditional employment and job security. And he kind of pushed me to do engineering school, but at the army. So I'm Belgian. My nationality is Belgian. I'm in Belgium. I could have joined the Royal Academy um, to become an officer and to be trained as an engineer. And then the deal was they pay the tuition, so the engineering school at the army, and then I would be working for them at least 9 years, I think, or 10 years.
More strings attached. Yeah.
Yeah. But then when I did all the tests, and there were a bunch of things that I had to do to even be admitted, right, to that thing. And I realized that it was not for me, right? I'm a very independent person. I had a T-shirt when I was a youngster. I'm a rebel.
He started off early.
Believe it or not, I had very long hair when I was a teenager.
Oh, I believe it. I believe it.
And so, yeah, I don't know, the idea of deciding, right, being in control, and maybe that's a flaw of mine, but the idea of being in control, total control of my destiny, but also to have an impact, right? When you are an employee, yes, you can have an impact on the world, but you're part of a big group. And when you have your own business, you actually set the strategy, you set the direction, and yeah, yeah.
I get that. No, I get it. Lots of strings attached, especially with the military. I did go in the military here. Did 20 years, and the initial contract I only wanted to do 2, but they said, "Hey, but you have I forgot what it's called, but I had an 8-year obligation, meaning if something was to kick off, they could just pull me in, no questions asked." So anyway, I ended up retiring from the Army, so that's neither here nor there. All right, so let's talk about another obstacle in being able to pivot from your normal job to entrepreneurship. And I wanted to know just how you balance working full-time while preparing for entrepreneurship.
Yeah, so for me, it was multiple steps. First, while I was fully employed, I actually volunteered. I found I was still living in Belgium at the time, and in the city where I was living, there was a non-profit organization, and the main purpose of that organization was skill sharing. So basically, everyone would be members, and it was very cheap, the yearly fees, but you could then offer your skills to the rest of the community, and everybody was sharing their skills. So there was one person doing a yoga class a couple of times a week for free, right? And I started offering actually IT training. So I taught people how to use computers and how to use the internet. At the time, the internet was new. And then I volunteered with the organization itself, right, to run their website, help them with their newsletter, and to basically start having a feel for what it is, basically to do the kind of task and jobs that I would have to do one day on my own. And also, I started also doing pro bono consulting, right, free consulting, going to people's houses, checking their computer, checking the printer and stuff like that, to see if I liked it. Because there are a lot of people who are frustrated as employees. But believe me, when you are entrepreneur, you have other kinds of
more
challenges.
Frustrated. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So so this was, I would say, phase one. Phase one was getting some exposure and doing things outside of my employee job, basically. And then phase two was actually asking my employer if I could work part-time and start the company on the side, because that's one of the decisions that I absolutely do not regret having done, was to have this phased approach. And I would say I'm very grateful for my employer for that, because they Yeah, they allowed me. Initially, I asked if I could work 50%, right? Half time, basically. But they said, no, we need you. We're okay with 70%. And in my case, it would be like 3 days and a half. So I was going to the office between Monday morning and Thursday lunchtime. And then Thursday afternoon and Friday was free for me, and also the evenings to work on EasyTech.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
That's pretty excuse me, that's pretty awesome they allowed you to do that. So you did a staggered approach. Good Lord, I got coughed up. Hold on. You did a staggered approach. One, you want to get exposure. That's important, I believe, because you can make this leap, this jump into this thing. And once you get there, you're like, I don't even want to be here. Like that grass is always greener type of, concept. So you got the exposure. It's like, okay, I do like this. Yes, your boss, hey, or your company actually. Can I do this at a percentage of my time? Split it up. And they said, yeah. So when did you know? Was there like a defining moment when you knew it was time to go all in with EasyTech? And let me drink some coffee while you answer this.
Yeah. So, yeah, long story short, before I actually even started EasyTech and asked to work part-time, I grew a bit frustrated and I wanted to do something else within the company. And I found a great opportunity to work in basically their continuous improvement department.
Yeah.
And I was a bit frustrated personally about the way things were run, which is actually normal. In every company, there are things that, and especially for people like me, who is more independent.
Yeah.
And so I thought, okay, let's try this department where basically continuous improvement, we were working on the processes, right? If there was one place in the company where I could make a dent in the way
it make an impact.
Make an impact, it would be that department. And
nice.
when 2 years in, right, so that was 2011, 2 years in, I realized there's a bit too much inertia.
Okay.
Which is normal, right? It's a very large company. I realized that I couldn't do the impact. I couldn't have the impact that I wanted to have. So that's when I asked for the part-time and starting the company.
Got it.
And then I would say a year and a half in, roughly a year and a half in, that's when first of all, I realized that I liked being my own boss. I was able to was very organized. I was not, so I'm working from home, right? So there's the television, there's gaming PCs, right? There's a
all
lot
these
of
distractions,
potential distractions. The fridge for me sometimes.
The couch, the bed, no.
And so, no. That's something also, again, something I learned about myself, that I'm able to be focused. And when I decide to work, I will work. And so I had absolutely no issue of those kinds of distractions. And I don't remember which client. There was one client, and it was, again, in this period of time where I left, I think it was a Thursday afternoon. I did a consulting job, helped the person a lot, right? Like saved her data, or I don't remember. So there was something big, right? There was something big. I saw how happy she was, right? That I helped her. I felt how impactful I had been that day. And then when I was walking to kindergarten, picking up my daughter from the after-school care, that's when it hit me that, yeah, I want to do
This is
that
it.
more. I want to do that more.
Yeah. Man, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So that's cool. Especially understanding that you are able to focus
Mhm.
on the task, on the goal, in the midst of all of these distractions. And one of the things that I believe the military helped me with was the same thing. Understanding this is the overall goal, no matter what's going on here, staying focused is definitely a skill that I possess as well. But now you've gone, you picked your daughter up, you said, this is what I want to do. I can be more impactful. I'm ready to go all in, right? What was the biggest mindset shift that you had to make when moving from being an employee to an entrepreneur? Now, we know you're focused, that's one thing, but being an entrepreneur is totally different from being an employee.
Mhm.
So what was the biggest, if you can consider one of the biggest, you can give me two, mind shifts that you had to make?
So one, it's a pretty big one, is related to financial security.
Mm.
With my wife, we're not people who like to borrow money, to be in debt, and so initially, so when I started this part-time thing, my goal was, okay, I'm going to leave my employer when I'm able to make as much money with EasyTech as I'm doing now as an employee.
Yeah.
And then I had to live with the fact that that wouldn't happen.
Okay.
And that was, for me, that was a big shift because
Yeah.
I'm pretty risk averse on that front. And so I switched and I changed the criteria for actually giving my resignation letter. And my criteria became, can I get enough money in the bank, right? Enough savings that would sustain me and the family for 18 months.
Mm.
And that was also, and I would say, the advantage of starting a business while still having a paycheck was that I could still, even though I was working 70% part-time, I could still put money in savings, right? I could.
Mm-hmm.
And I must say, I was lucky. I'm lucky two ways: the employer, but also my wife has a good job. So also we were able to easily put money on the side. And yeah, so that was one thing. The other thing was, to be honest, I was not 100% sure that with the current client base, I would be able to ever get the revenue that I wanted to get.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was a leap of faith. I have to say, at one point, you need to make a leap of faith and believe in yourself and believe in the universe that,
Yeah. I was gonna say, believe in yourself and believe in what you have to offer. You know
yeah.
what I mean? Believe in that idea, that concept, right?
Mhm.
So, wow. So, were there any unexpected challenges in those early months of Solopreneur? Once you got away and I'm in, what challenges? And I say unexpected because we know the normal challenges, right? But was there something that you just didn't anticipate in those early months?
And actually, it would be a positive,
Okay.
something positive, actually. And
Okay. I
that
like that. That's better.
was actually the help that I got from the entrepreneurial community that I found in Luxembourg. And I made a decision when I left my corporate job. And actually, the small story is that on my last day at the coffee machine, a colleague of mine, which was also an employee, mentions the word BNI, so BNI, Business Network International, the largest networking organization in the world.
Yep.
And she asked me this question, do you know BNI? I had no clue what it was about. Believe it or not, there was only one chapter in Luxembourg. And
That's
her
all you needed.
and her daughter-in-law, daughter-in-law was working for a company who was in BNI.
Yeah.
And so I visited the only chapter that existed at the time in Luxembourg, and I immediately understood the benefit of joining this kind of organization, especially as a solopreneur. And yeah, I actually did not anticipate how much that would help me. That would help me not only financially, but from a strategy point of view, and also because being a solopreneur, it can be lonely, very, very lonely. So yes, you see clients, but it's not the same as having fellow entrepreneurs that you meet every week, and you can bounce ideas with, and yeah.
So BNI, I like that. Networking is it's, I want to say important, but it's damn near essential.
Yeah.
Just like you said, bouncing ideas, especially someone I believe, because I'm not in that space, that tech space, but you can go in and you show that you can do it while you were working. You went and you self-taught yourself a lot of these tech things, right? You went in and strategically, I say strategically just because it's a buzzword, but you went in purposefully to learn new things, to get smarter on these things because you probably were interested in it. It was something that resonated with you. I have a friend of mine, matter of fact, from my job, he actually hired me, and he loves code, he loves automation, he loves this stuff. He loves to go in and figure out stuff and write programs and things like that. That's not me, right? So I don't know the space. But in speaking about just loving what it is that you do, being a solopreneur, there has to be an emphasis, I believe, on automating some processes, right? Just because it just makes sense, especially for someone with your skill set. What role has automation played in sustaining your business as a solopreneur?
Oh, it's huge. First of all, I could not have done this part-time thing without automation, right? Because for 3.5 days I was at the office, right? I didn't take calls from clients. So yeah, it was. And maybe to come back to one of your earlier questions, that's also something that I realized, the tension, right? The tension that, okay, it's noon, it's lunchtime. I leave the office, I go into the parking lot. I quickly call a prospect, and then I go back to the office, and and so automation for me was key. First of all, clarifying my process, right? I'm a very process-driven person. So having a process for, okay, what happens? How does a potential client get hold of me, contacts me, right? So I have this contact form on my website, and I don't know you, but when you when you see a contact form on the website, you're wondering, really, even if I say submit, what happens afterwards, right?
That's the thing. Who just bought my contact information? So anyway,
So I had, it was clear. I'm going to contact you within the next 24 hours. And actually, I had automation in place. So when they filled the contact form, automatically it was pulling information, automatically putting that in my CRM and in my Google Contacts. So that meant that as soon as the lead, the prospect, had contacted me, and also a task in my task manager to call back the person or to reply, right? I was immediately informed of that lead, but I didn't have to copy paste anything, right? Whatever information was on the form, It was on my phone. It was on my CRM. It was in different systems that I had. And that was huge, right?
Yeah. I like it. For me, I'm still like, and it just, hearing you say that, just thinking about this podcast, I spent so much time in the early years or the early time of doing this podcast on how can I automate, because there's too many things that happen and they happen. It's repetitive. It's constantly the same thing. Right. And I wanted to have a look, I wanted it to be the same experience, like a McDonald's type, cookie cutter thing. And only through automation and certain softwares was I able to, get that desired result, I guess. So one, it removes all of the tension. It removes all of the stress of trying to remember what it is you did. How did I do it? What program did I use? And it just simplifies it, and it allows you to focus in on what it is that you need to focus in on. Right. So automation, I believe, is everything. Once again, networking one, automation two, all of these things are essential to keep your sanity, if nothing else. So, all right. Well, so I didn't say automation. All right. So we know that. So that's just a overarching word. But what are some key tech tools that you think every solopreneur should be using? And you can give me one or two. That's
Yeah, but for me, well, if we talk about automation,
yeah, for you, right?
Zapier, right? Zapier,
Okay,
is key. There is an equivalent called Make at make.com. Both tools, for me, it's like glue. It's gluing between all the web services, right? Nowadays, so my invoicing software is a web service. I'm on Google Workspace again. And so my CRM is a web service. So most of the things that we use nowadays to run a business is in the cloud. And Zapier is the perfect, one of the best tools today for that. You can actually start for free. They have a free plan, and the free plan allows you to do just a two-step process, right? So you always have, in automation, you always have a trigger and then an action. And the trigger could be, in my case, right, when somebody submits their contact information on my website. And then one action populates the CRM. And you can do that today for free.
Just to figure it out, work through it. Yeah. Okay,
and
I like it. Yeah, give me one more.
The second tool, it's maybe not, I don't know, but for me, it's ChatGPT and the Plus plan. So I'm paying the $20 per month. Especially now, the custom GPT functionality. I don't know if you've played with that. So
I have not.
You have not? Okay.
No.
So ChatGPT, chatbot, ask question, prompt engineering. So if you prepare a very nice prompt, you can get a better results. But every time you have a new conversation, you have again to think about that prompt. And so if you don't have a system on the side, like a text expander or stuff like that, that can spit out very easily these kind of prompts, it becomes difficult. The concept of the custom GPT is that you configure your custom instruction. And you can even give the custom GPT specific documents and references and information. Could be images, could be PDFs, it could be Word documents or Google Sheets or stuff like that. And afterwards, whenever you interact with that custom GPT, it will always start with the same basic knowledge. You don't have to think about the prompt. You can immediately start working. And one that I've configured and I found, it's Paul Rutzer from Marketing AI Institute and SmarterX. He has come up with this concept of the co-CEO, and that's very relevant for solopreneurs. And so basically, I built my co-CEO by telling it who I am. So who is Damien Schreurs? What does he want in life? What are his goals, his dreams? What's EasyTech? What's Macpreneur? Right. I also gave it the last, not financial data, but in terms of revenue-wise, how much corporate training, how much consulting, and how much coming from BNI and stuff like that.
Right.
And now whenever I have a question, could be a strategic question, could be a tactical question, I fire up that co-CEO and we have a chat. And it helps me navigate and find better solutions for me or for my company.
Wow. Yeah, I just do regular old Chat GPT. That core one kind of seems like it'll get me closer to that McDonald's cookie cutter type thing where I'm looking the same. I'm coming with all the information and the data and the knowledge, that's been accumulated instead of trying to pull it and put it in here for every conversation that I have, for every chat that I have with ChatGPT. So that's pretty cool. I don't know. Maybe I'll be hitting up EasyChat one of these days and answer some questions on that. So what systems or habits have helped you to maintain that synergy, that life synergy? So, working between, family and entrepreneurship and, whatever else that you have in there. So what systems or habits have helped you maintain that synergy?
Yeah, but it's the word habit, and it's another word that I like to use is the word routine. So
okay, I like that. Yeah,
I've had a morning routine for years and years and years. I have, so having things that so whatever you think is important, right? If it's truly important, you will find a way to incorporate that into a routine. And so, for me, in the morning routine, I have a morning routine, which is a bit of health and a little bit of learning. And then I've incorporated actually learning throughout the day. Yeah.
So you got some health, meaning you work out, you do a walk, you say a prayer. Like, what is health? Because I'm looking at like physical health, mental health, spiritual health.
So for me, it's more physical health. Yeah, physical health. For a very long time, I was doing yoga and stretching every morning.
Yeah.
Now I've stopped doing that, and I'm doing more cardio exercises 3 times per week. And I had a heart attack last October.
Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was a pretty nasty wake-up call.
Yeah.
And so I've changed my habits and my morning routine based on that. But something I had completely stopped doing for more than a year was actually walking outside. And now I'm walking outside half an hour, a few times per week. That's what I did before jumping into this call. I had a nice sunny walk outside.
Yeah.
And and also a nap. So I'm going to turn 52 this year, but I've been napping for more than 15, almost 20 years. When I was still an employee, after lunch, I would go in the parking lot and I would have a snooze in the car.
I love naps, but I love them and I don't. I understand the purpose, but sometimes it feels like, oh, I needed that. And then sometimes it's like, I need some more. And it just, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So just finding that balance and how long the nap will be is essential. But one of the key things I did, you said you had a heart attack. You had a heart attack. How did that, me first thing, we talking about business, entrepreneurship. If you're an entrepreneur and you were only doing it, now you have people, you have employees, but if you're an entrepreneur and say you have a setback, like how was that mentally for you coming back? Were you just thinking, oh my Lord, this is a sign that I need to do things differently, or oh my goodness, my family, or like what came to mind when you were in recovery, and what motivated you to want to get better? And I think my overall question was, did those automations that you had in, just thinking about the business, automations that you had in process, and you have a lot more now, did that help you sustain, or was it the employees? Like, how did that process, if you don't mind going through just a little bit of that experience in your life? Because this is Hindsight the Podcast.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, I'm a pretty driven person and full on. And I had a hard time realizing how big a deal it was. For me, when it happened, so like around noon, 1 o'clock, I started to have chest pain. And at 5 p.m., I had a stent. They put me a stent because I had 3 arteries who were completely clogged. And then so I was in the operating room between 4:30 and 5:36, something like that. At 6:30, I was at the ICU. And in my mind, I was starting to work the week after.
This is why I asked the question.
And no, I panicked a little bit because I had a training, a full day of training organized on the day after, on Thursday. So I had the heart attack on a Wednesday. And on Thursday, I had to give 1 day of training for a client. And so I think it was 7 p.m., sent an email profusely, being like, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry.
Apologizing.
I hate not fulfilling, right, a promise, right? When I promise something to somebody,
Right.
I hate that. And when it's for a client, for me, it's even worse. Luckily, everybody has been, very gracious, and obviously, but first of all, the realization that, and it's part of my plan actually, that I need to change my business model so that it is not too incumbent on me personally or my physical presence, right? For the moment, 100% of the services that I offer is me. I don't know if I'm the product, but I'm the person who delivered the service, right? So
yes,
if there's an issue with Damien, there's no service, right?
Yeah.
And so that maybe accelerated the timeline towards moving online and having more online revenues independent from me delivering a service.
Yeah. Wow. Well, I'm glad you recovered nicely and you were able to take care of that and get things going. Hey, so briefly, could you just tell me what EasyTech is and what it provides for people like me?
Yeah, so EasyTech provides mostly IT training services. At the moment, EasyTech is mostly in Luxembourg for companies or governmental organizations. And I basically train employees on how to better use Microsoft Word, Excel, PowerPoint. I also teach at the university twice a year, and where I have a module on artificial intelligence, on Google Workspace and stuff like that. But on the Macpreneur side, and that's part of my vision, my longer term vision, right?
Yeah.
With Macpreneur is to start building a community of like-minded solopreneurs who cannot imagine running their business on anything else than a Mac. And then, having a community and providing guidance. At the moment, the only thing that I have as a paid product or paid service is a diagnostic, right? So I can help solopreneurs who have no idea how to improve or to be more efficient, how to automate and stuff like that. I do a quick diagnostic to look at different parts of their tech stack, including their Mac and their iPhone, and then see how we can make things more efficient for them. Yeah.
I tell you what, I love the product, the Mac and Apple and whatever, right? And I know it's almost like the brain, right? I know that I'm only using a small percentage of the capabilities that using that technology has. I mean, I got a iPad, I got a Mac computer, desktop and laptop, got an iPhone, and I just don't utilize it. So do you provide services or insight in you have a podcast for that as well? Do you talk about here's some tips on how to better get a better usage out of this technology?
Yeah. So I started the podcast 2018, then I stopped it before COVID hit, but then I rebooted it in 2023, and since then, I had 5 seasons.
Oh,
and
nice.
Each season, so from season 2 to season 5, was dedicated to a specific topic. So I have one on Mac productivity, so how to better use the Mac itself. I have one on artificial intelligence. I have one on digital security. Digital security. I have one on automation and processes, right? How to use the Mac platform and also all the tools that a solopreneur can use on their Mac to be more efficient. And now season 6 I'm doing mainly interviews. So I interview other solopreneurs, and they share how they use their Mac and also which tools make them more efficient.
I like it. I went on your website, and first of all, I'm gonna steal an idea from you, but I love how you have your blogs for your episodes, like all of that laid out. It's very clean. It's very it's appealing. So, and I saw that you were having interviews. I need to go a little deeper. Do you have access to some of the archived podcasts? Like, I'm really specifically looking at the productivity part. Is that there accessible?
Yeah. So I've created categories on the website. And so if you type macpreneur.com/season and then the number of the season, you will get all the episodes, all the blog posts. Every blog post has the YouTube video and the audio version if you prefer listening to it. But so you type macpreneur.com/season 2 or season 3 or season 4, and also in the navigation bar of the website, I have every season what they are about. Yeah.
Okay, I like it. And then lastly, what's next for you and EasyTech? We talked about for Macpreneur, like we know you kind of talked about what's next for that. But what's next for EasyTech?
So next for EasyTech is international expansion. So because most of the training that I offer is still done remotely. So based on where I'm located, so my afternoon is the US's morning. So I've strategically, with the help of my co-CEO, I've strategically decided to offer modules of 3 hours. So that means that in my morning, when I'm usually the most creative and stuff like that, I can work on the business. And then in the afternoon, I could offer training sessions. And if it's people in Europe, it will be the afternoon. If it's in the US or Canada, it's going to be in the morning time.
Yeah. Now, I like the morning. That's why I'm on here now. So it worked out perfectly for you and I to do this talk right now. Because the morning, it's twofold. One, this is where I'm more insightful, creative, productive in the morning time. And in the afternoon is where I'm probably a little more adventurous. I want to get out and do things. It is Southern California. So it doesn't hinder the day. So it really makes for, one, I guess the reason why I'm saying all of this is for the listener, find out what your, schedule, what your clock looks like for you, and then kind of build a system around that, right? So that everyone is benefiting from what you have in their own time, in their own space. So anyway, I like it. I got one quick question. This is one quick question in the interest of time, but I do want to ask it because it is hindsight. If you could go back and give yourself one piece of advice, what would it be? Now, I got two, just talking to you. I got two. I know one is like, do more walks outside. But anyway.
Yeah.
But if you could go back, yeah.
Yeah, if I could go back, I would have told myself to wait a bit more before pulling the plug and resigning. Because even though it turned out okay, it has been stressful at times.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah.
And so be more patient. Be more patient. Yeah.
But but the thing is, it sounds like that you were patient, you were strategic in your approach to doing it. You're probably anxious to get out there and do your thing, right? But it seems like you did a lot to prepare for the eventual leap. When I hear you say be patient, this is truly a hindsight answer, because you see like the gap between when you left, where you thought you'd be, and how long it took you to get there. And you're looking at it from hindsight. But what could you have done differently besides being patient to get you more prepared to reach that level of success quicker, besides just being patient?
Yeah, for me, that would be to educate myself a little bit more on the prospecting side, on the sales side of the business. I'm a pretty good, technician, right? So I'm very good at what I do, but I'm rather introvert by nature. I'm not shy, but I'm introvert.
I get you.
And so something I realized early on was that I had very high success rate. So converting a prospect into a client, I'm very good, right? When I'm in a sales school or in a sales meeting, I have everything it takes, and without being sleazy or whatever, but really, I think naturally I can show the benefits and I can help someone see the potential transformation. So I can sell myself. But the issue is to get that person to organize a meeting with me, right? Or to get or to contact me. And so this prospecting thing, I would have educated myself much earlier, and I would have also taken that more seriously. And still today, I realize that's one of my weakest points, is that I have a tendency to wait for business to come rather than go and seek potential clients.
Yeah. I like that. Because I think a lot of us have that issue. You know, obviously we have salespeople who have sales training and they go out and they kill it. And it's easier for them, maybe probably because of the training. I'm sure that there's some people who naturally have it, extrovert. I'm a shy extrovert. So there you go, right? So there, whatever that means, right? But I know I'm pretty shy. Like it. Anyway, we won't get into that. But the importance of reaching out, like for me, I do have a full-time job as well right now, and what I do provide, it's a service that the company I work for provides, and I really would sit back and wait on the stuff to come to me. And it's funny you would bring this up because I had an epiphany. You know, let me put myself out there a little more. Let me put my department out there a little more. And let me, instead of waiting for someone else to hand stuff to me to work on, let me go out and seek it out, put myself out there. And hearing you say that's still a weakness, it's a weakness of mine too. So trying to strategically put out what we offer and try to get people to come in is my challenge right now. And I know that I didn't give you any insight, listeners, on how to overcome that. You just gotta jump in and work through it. I mean, that's the bottom line. To your point, Damien, we could probably go and get some sales training. You know, that would probably help it out a little bit. But yeah, that is a real, especially if you're going to be an entrepreneur, you got to be comfortable with selling yourself, selling your service. You can't have that imposter syndrome or whatever. You got to overcome all of that stuff if you're planning on being successful. And that's just my 2 cents. All right. You got anything on that one? You got 3 or 4 more cents?
Yeah. I've always had mixed feelings about the phrase "fake it till you make it."
Yeah.
That's I've been there, right? I felt that, but it's not real, right? It's not real. It's
Right.
an impression. It's maybe sometimes a false belief about ourselves. The reality is the fake part. The fake part is we will never know everything that we need to know to be successful, right? So it's more,
Right.
what do I need to learn? Okay, what are my blind spots? That's the most difficult thing, right? How can I find out my blind spots so that I can feel more confident and more comfortable running a business?
Yeah, I like it. All right, Damien, where can the listeners find out a little bit more about you, EasyTech, Macpreneur? Where can we find that out? Everything's on the internet. Everything's in the cloud. So
Yeah. So I think the best would be actually LinkedIn. If they follow me or they even contact me on LinkedIn, I'm the only Damien Schreurs that you will find. If you type Damien SCHR, normally you should find me.
It should come up, right?
Yes. And even if you put Luxembourg afterwards, that's for sure you will find me.
Got it.
Yeah.
You got the tip. It's the answers to the test. So LinkedIn, and then also what's the website?
So macpreneur.com for the podcast, and easytech.lu, LU for Luxembourg. That's the training stuff. Yeah.
Awesome. Damien's story is proof that with the right mindset, strategic presentation, preparation, and a willingness to learn, transitioning from corporate to solopreneurship is absolutely possible. And if you want to hear more from Damien, check out his Macpreneur podcast and learn how to optimize your business with the right tech tools. I know I will be. I'm not even joking. I'm going on there and check this out in a little bit today. And if this episode resonated with you, share with someone who's thinking about making the leap into entrepreneurship. And don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and follow us on social media for more inspiring conversations like this one with Damien S. But I appreciate your time, Damien. I hope you had a good time. I really did have a good time talking with you. And if nothing else, you didn't learn anything else today, go outside and get a walk. Take a walk in that nice sunshine, okay? It's been absolutely great, Damien.
Thank you for having me, Lee. It's a pleasure to be on the show.
Hey, thanks for joining me here on Hindsight The Podcast. I'm your host, Lee Jones. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I know I did. And while I have you here, why don't you take your mouse, go over and click on that subscribe button. No, not right there. Over to the right. Down, right there. Boom. Thank you. Now, thank you for subscribing to Hindsight The Podcast. I'm your host, Lee Jones.